Previously on Total Death Edition. Level 4-8 introduces Pogo Zombies, and they are still pathetically weak. And this time... this is where the true battle begins. Welcome back to Plants vs Zombies Total Death Edition, the mod that makes the original game about 8 times harder and changes almost all plants and zombies. I suggest rewatching previous parts first, but last time we left off at level 5-1, which is now in night instead of day, and the top lane is now a water lane. This makes it a whole lot tougher as we are essentially playing nighttime unsodded on roof if we don't pick both lily pad and flower pot. However, we can use mushrooms on our roof now, so puffshrooms and doomshrooms will be able to help us out throughout this world. But what doesn't help us are the cabbage poults, which now lop Snow Pea. That's actually a downgrade because all zombies are already permanently slowed down before the first flag, so it just does even less damage than before now. On the other hand, cattails will make up for the fact that cabbage poults suck. May I remind you that each spike now does double the damage compared to in the original game. However, the real plot twist is that we can't actually plant any plants on top of lily pads, so we can only plant aquatic plants or cattails in the water lane. This isn't a huge deal right now, since Doomshroom in another lane can resolve any threat in the water lane. The first level was obviously pretty easy because it only had one flag, but we just unlocked Flower Pot, and unfortunately, like the Lily Pad, this also costs us 50 sun instead of 25 sun now. Drat. After beating level 5-1, Crazy Dave lets us buy some more stuff from his shop, and of course, I buy out everything with my very legally obtained money that I totally didn't just hack in. And in level 5-2, there are pole vaulters. Yikes. Now, don't ask me why I didn't just use Chomper to beat this level because I forgot they exist, okay? I forgot about them after not using them for the entirety of fog levels because of Gatling P. So, I went for Fume Shrooms and Gloom Shrooms. I mean, Fume Shrooms and Gloom Shrooms aren't that bad, considering one ignores the roof slope and the other does very good damage. That's until we see what happens on the first flag. If you want to know what playing this world feels like, that about sums it up. Let's just look at the next problem we have to deal with, which is the pole vaulters and the fact we can't kill them with fume shrooms. So, yup, welcome back to the Olympics, I guess. And do you know what's even more comical about this? The Bungie zombies in this mod, which you gotta be kidding me. They instantly destroy the tile to the left of them when they drop down, so we can't even prevent it from killing our plant. And guess what? That's not even the worst thing about the Bungie zombies, because they don't steal your plant anymore. They just crush the entire tile they are on when they go back up, killing all plants on the same tile simultaneously. No mercy even for the flower pots. One way to defend against pole vaulters without Chomper is to use Blover, which slows down all zombies on the screen when planted. Its recharge is fast enough that we can replant them right as the zombies aren't slow anymore, so we can keep planting them off cooldown to reapply the slowing effect. It's one of the best plants in this mod, as it won't take up any additional space on the lawn while it slows down all zombies. It's as overpowered on paper as in practice, since this slowdown will double our damage output as long as we don't defrost the zombies. And that's how we went from losing horrifically to pole vaulters to breezing past this level easily. Just one change is all it takes to go from completely losing to overwhelmingly winning. Now, level 5-3. This level only had ladder zombies in the original game, but this mod adds a bit more variety to every level, so it now has balloon zombies too. Cattails and Blovers are required to deal with balloon zombies, so I just copied a loadout I used last level and replaced Ice Shroom with a Magnet Shroom to counter ladder zombies. Well, why do you need Magnet Shrooms, you ask? Well, ladder zombies in this mod move 10 times faster. If we want to have a chance at killing them before they mow down all our plants, we're going to need Magnet Shroom to steal their ladders to slow them down. Well, that's assuming we have enough Magnet Shrooms to deal with all the ladder zombies, which we don't, because 8 times more zombies are spawning and we only have 4 Magnet Shrooms. The math ain't mathing here. It is game over once we hit a backlog of ladders, since ladder zombies make it across the entire lawn in under 2 seconds and munch through our plants, and we can't do anything to block them because, well, they're ladder zombies. So, I tried this level again, but this time with Gatling Piece for higher single damage against the ladder zombies. But did I mention that the Bungie ambushes that happen every flag also happen to be able to spawn in Gargantuars? Yep, that's pretty balanced in my opinion. Just get half our defense crushed with no way to prevent it because we don't have Umbrella Leaf yet. We also can't forget about the enraged balloon zombies that can instantly crush half our defense if we plant our blower 1 second too late. Now, let's just stop experimenting, so to say, and go back to the old trustworthy Chomper, which can damage zombies through the roof, so it's a much better plant than Gatling Peas in this scenario. But then, I was brought back to reality when I saw all my cattails getting dunked on by the flag zombies spawning graves right on top of each of them, so I had 0 balloon zombie defense, and that's the end of this attempt too. This is just level 5 free, and it's already looking like it's yet another impossible level. You see, I gave up after losing 3 times in a row on level 5 free, but then, on my next stream, I had a realization. Alright, so, I also discovered something else in this mod. I go to the shop, there's page 1, you know, we can buy the rake, we buy 10 slots, we buy pool cleaners, we buy roof cleaners, we buy 4 premium plants, this is fine, we bought spike rock, we bought gold magnet, you know. Turns out there's a page 3 in the shop that I did not notice. Well, turns out, I had 2 more upgrades I needed to get from the shop. The first one unlocks the giant walnut plant, which we won't be using for now, but the second one is the most important. The roof planting permit, which allows us to plant non-aquatic plants on lily pads on the roof. And yeah, this planting permit costs literally $1 million to unlock, and I didn't even have enough money to buy it, so I had to give myself even more money to unlock it. Shout out to the people on my Discord server who told me about the additional upgrades I could buy from the shop. Now we've gotten the planting permit, it means we have 25% extra space to plant our defense, and sure enough, it makes a significant difference. Our economy is booming, and we can also now use cactus, which is a more reliable anti-balloon zombie plant compared to cattail, which we will be needing here with how many of them come in one wave. But this wasn't quite enough, because turns out, the list of zombies that can randomly spawn also includes dancing zombies, which spawns a backup dancers that trample plants, in a 3x1 area. Looks like I had a great chance of beating this level with the very fair and balanced bungee ambushes that just spawn right on top of my plants. This didn't just happen once, it happened twice. And it's not like we can do anything right now because we don't have umbrella leaves unlocked to prevent bungee ambushes from killing us. At this point of the game, it's truly beginning to be a test of both luck and skill, because without both, we are not making it past these levels. And that isn't even the only 2 things that determine whether we can beat the level or not. Our choice of seeds is equally important. Turns out, even using cactus instead of cattail to get 100% coverage against balloon zombies is not good enough. The fact that balloon zombies move so quickly and also require 2 spikes to pop is already enough for the enraged balloon zombies to crush plants up to the 6th column and also let normal balloons sneak by. It's just ridiculous that even using cactus, we can't kill the balloon zombies fast enough, and starfruits died just after a few waves. But at least, cactus did better than cattails, because this was our first time making it past the first 3 waves after the first flag. So I can finally showcase the very balanced enraged ladder zombie who can ladder over any plant and has infinite ladders! Isn't that perfectly fair? Since all the zombies also move so fast, my reaction speed has to be insanely quick to not lose against any of the fast zombies. I have to stay so alert and focused at every moment, I can't even afford to hold the wrong plant at times because the time it takes for me to switch to another plant is already long enough for half the defense to get completely destroyed. It is brutal, and I'm telling you, I tried to plant my things fast enough, like I tried to time my blower right as a new wave spawns in, but well, yup, here we go, enraged ladder zombie, and in less than 2 seconds, I'm already dead. What the heck is this? So, it's time to pull out a dirty tool so we aren't stuck here for the next 2 hours practicing our reaction speed. I'm slowing down the game speed to half. Yup, the internal speed at which the game is running can be modified. This gives me an advantage because I can make more precise plays, but it's still not enough for me to kill an enraged ladder zombie in time because they are still absurdly quick, even at the game running at half speed. However, the biggest thing that I can now do with the game running at half speed is react to ladder zombies and block their path with a sunflower and flower pot before they ladder over our starfruits. It also gives me more time to look at what each zombie does, and the enraged ladder zombie can actually be stopped if they ladder over a wall plant, which will be useful in the next level when we get to it. Now of course, I'm not going to show the rest of the level at half speed, but just so you know, I needed it while playing this to beat the level because my mind cannot react fast enough to all the zombies while still making the correct strategic plays. Plus, I could have achieved the similar effect by pausing the game again and again, but that would be painful for me to edit, so slowing the game down was the best compromise. All of that effort to unlock a useless plant. And now, oh god, and we have 400 bonus starting suns, so you know what that means. I mean, surely, it can't be that bad if we manage to get this much defense in the early game, right? Well, first, I need to spend a Doom Shroom to not lose against this enraged ladder zombie, but then I don't have it for everything else.
And they are still pathetically weak.
Okay. As you may see, we have a pretty big issue on our hands. Not that this Ghost Buckethead is going to take out a roof cleaner, but rather that it's impossible to keep our Gloom Shrooms alive thanks to the existence of Pogo Zombies that now instantly destroy any plant they touch. The even more ridiculous thing is that they can crush plants even when their head is already gone, making it even more infuriating to watch a plant die to an already dead zombie. But I guess all the zombies are already dead because they're zombies, but anyways, my point is that these guys are the bane to our existence because they essentially disallow us from using any close range plants, and we also can't utilize Gatling Peas on roof, so we're kinda stuck between a rock and a hard place for what to do against football zombies, because we're sure as hell not killing them with 2 fume shrooms only. Isn't it wonderful that this level also has free flags? And as the old saying goes, use Magnesium when you have trouble with Pogo Zombies. But turns out, the evil modder also made it so that Pogo Sticks don't count as metallic objects anymore. Isn't it wonderful that there's no way to even stop the Pogo Zombies, now that Tallnets don't work against them either? Now, every time one of them comes, I just have to pray that they won't do a little bit of trolling and stomp all over the Gloom Shrooms. Well, it's just instantly game over if they do, because each Gloom Shroom takes 50 seconds to replant. Also, you cannot forget about the stupidity of the bungee ambushes, because they'll be in every roof level. Just casually drop a backup dancer on my Gloom Shrooms and outright kill them? That seems fair. And here you go, a few more bungee zombies next wave because why not? And right, they instantly destroy the plant to the left of them, so we can't even keep our sun producers alive for more than one wave. How fun is this level? You know, just to throw a little bit more salt into the wounds, here's this lane-switching Pogo Zombie which is now basically a mop that swipes up and down to kill every single plant on the lawn. 2 waves in, and the whole field is already completely wiped. Literally no amount of sun can save us from this combination of zombies. So we can't kill Pogo Zombies with Fume Shrooms, with Star Fruits, with Gloom Shrooms, or Madness Shrooms. I suppose this just means we have to use Chompers, right? Well, if you take a closer look, Pogo Zombies never actually get hit by Chompers because they're also immune to Chompers attacks. It's like the modder went through the list of possible ways we could beat this level, and made sure to design the zombies in a way that makes the level impossible to beat. This is just stupidity. The first thing I'll need if I want to even survive is putting the game back at half speed. I'm going to need the extra reaction time not just against the ladder zombies again, but also the all-star zombies. With no other options available, I can only kill Pogo Zombies by using Blover or Ice Shroom to slow them down, and then plant extra defense immediately to kill them before they reach our Gloom Shrooms. It works well until the Blover ends up getting crushed by a Pogo Zombie, because they can also crush instant use plants. So we have to go for plan B, which is straight up dig our Gloom Shroom up so that they can't take out our other Gloom Shrooms at the same time. And I'll let you guess as to what other instant use plant can be instantly crushed even if it's already activating. Miraculously though, this strategy of using Fume Shrooms and then stalling out Pogo Zombies using Blover has been the most effective out of everything we've tried so far, as I was able to keep the Gloom Shrooms alive against the Pogo Zombie. I made it past the second flag for the first time, but I still lost my Gloom Shrooms to the Pogo Zombies when the Blover placement's timing desynchronized with the timing of the new waves, and I didn't manage to slow one wave of Pogo Zombies down, which ruined this run. I managed to survive to see the final wave, but I wasn't even close to beating the level if there's no defense left, since Doom Shroom can't one-shot football zombies. But now, we just need to play a little bit more efficiently and survive for one more wave. How hard would it be? Now you'd think since sunflowers produce 50 instead of 25 sun, we can easily stock up a ton of sun in the early game to afford anything we want in the late game. But when it comes to it, we have to spend a Gravebuster every wave to have enough space for planting and also a Blover every wave to counter Pogos, which is already 200 sun. That's not including all the sun we need to spend planting flower pots to block all-star zombies, the Doom Shrooms we need to stop ladder zombies, and we still need to replace all the plants that get stolen by bungee zombies. We use 6,000 sun in just one flag of time, and the waves only get denser after this, so we're on track to dry out our sun reserves very quickly. This is simply not sustainable, and we have to spend way more than what we have because this damn bungee zombies keep stealing all our sunflowers that we can't protect. And guess what? Even our roof cleaners are mostly useless this level because Pogo Zombies can jump over them. There's pretty much no margin for error at all here. Again, this is only a problem because we can't stop all the bungee zombies that keep stealing all our plants, but I wasn't done showing you how stupid they are. Because if you try to replant on the tile to the left of it, it steals that plant and still crushes the tile it's already targeting. Even if we do have a lot of sun stockpiled up from the earlier waves, we still have to make sure Pogo Zombies can't touch our Gloom Shrooms. just getting a little bit too greedy with our sun and not spending an extra blower can be catastrophic. Without gloom shrooms to protect our fume shrooms from Bungie zombies, there's no coming back from this situation. Might as well restart to save time. And even if we stop pogo zombies from stomping our gloom shrooms, they are still massive threats because they prevent us from planting on the tile they're in, like right here. I can't plant a flower pot to protect my gloom shroom since it dies instantly to pogo zombies. And there goes the gloom shroom down the drain. But if we want to talk about the worst zombies ever, the flag zombie takes the cake for the most annoying zombie in this mod because we are forced to use doom shroom in every level thanks to it. What do I mean by that? Well, since it has 1500 health in this mod, which is more than a buckethead zombie, we can't kill it with just one fume shroom. And if we don't kill it quick, it'll end up spawning a gravestone right on top of our gloom shroom. We already know what happens when a gloom shroom dies, so this is an instant restart. I then tried to use twin sunflower for even more sun so I can spam more sacrificial flower pots and grave busters, but it quickly became obvious that the redundancy that Ice Shroom provides is much more important so that we don't die to pogo zombies when blower is on cooldown. Having more sun means nothing if all our gloom shrooms are dead. So after all this time, it seems like we either have not enough sun or just not enough blowers to kill off the pogo zombies. This is why I came up with a new setup that solves both of our problems, one that uses fewer gloom shrooms. This may look insane, but this is already the complete defense for what I'm going to be using for the next 3 flags, with only 6 attacking plants, but I thought this through. With this defense having only 2 gloom shrooms, we only have to focus on defending 2 gloom shrooms from pogo zombies instead of an entire column of them. We'll just let pogo zombies in other lanes walk by our gloom shrooms and we can kill them for free, without even needing to spend a blower. Now, how do you deal with a pogo zombie in the lane of the gloom shroom? Well, that's why we now double up our fume shrooms into the gloom shroom lanes. Then, we can move the sunflowers into the non-gloom shroom lanes which don't need any extra defense since we can rely on gloom shrooms. Not only do we spend less sun on our defense, but we also kill the pogo zombies faster. And if we lose a gloom shroom to some random pogo zombie, we only have to buy back 1 gloom shroom and not 3 gloom shrooms. But all good things must come with a compromise, and the compromise we have to take here is the lack of high damage, as football zombies in the gloom shroom lanes will only be targeted by 1 gloom shroom now instead of the usual wall of gloom shrooms we had. The tremendous health of the giant football zombies become particularly troublesome because not even Doom Shroom can prevent these guys from eating up a pumpkin. This defense can get overwhelmed by the large number of giant football zombies later on since we can't plant pumpkins fast enough to offset how many are getting eaten. And once we do get overwhelmed, our sun production goes down the drain and we lose the game. The fact we have more sun to spare and gloom shrooms not dying to pogo zombies is not going to make a difference if we can't block off the giant football zombies that tear through our defense. Eventually, I just have to spam so many sacrificial flower pots and sunflowers to not lose my roof cleaners, and all that spare sun is down the drain once again. But we are inching closer and closer to the finish line now, as we just need a bit more efficient play to get past this. And beating this level just seemed like an impossible feat to pull off. It's either death against football zombies, or pogo zombies killing all the plants. Or, in this case, a combination of both. At the end of the day, the level is simply too difficult to beat without a little bit more external help. That's why I'm going to be using save scumming again. Pause the video if you need a quick refresher on how the save scumming process works. But anyway, I played the level multiple times to optimize for the best early game yet, and in this particular attempt, I got over 10,000 sun before the first flag was even here. I made a checkpoint save here, but our job here is far from done because we still need to get past all the other crap we've been dealing with. And I wish I could make this up, but on the first attempt of playing with this checkpoint, I made it past the entirety of the first to second flag only losing 2 gloom shrooms, and I was sitting there with 7,800 sun saved up for the last section of the level. There was no way I wasn't going to take this opportunity to make another checkpoint because this run was miraculously lucky. Certainly, there's no way we can lose now, right? Well, to make it to the final wave and stand a chance, we need to not make the same mistakes as we previously did. The first of which is not killing the flag zombie on the second flag. Instant restart number 1. The second of which is we need to not get screwed over by RNGs when the Bungie ambushes spawn. But that's why we have to save scum. One all-star zombie that spawns in the water is all it takes to finish us off in the water lane. And it's extremely important to utilize save scumming because there's no way in hell I'm playing this level 50 more times just to have my gloom shroom instantly squished. We need to save Scum not only because the initial Bungie ambushes are extremely luck-based, but also because the waves are becoming increasingly dense, leading to extremely stupid situations. All-Star Zombies are particularly troublesome as they can double up in lanes due to the game spawning a copious amount of them each wave. There's practically no better strategy than to just roll the dice again and pray for a better result next time where there's less All-Star spawning. And now we've solved our sun problem with such a large reserve of it, it has now become obvious that the most valuable resource is our flower pots. Without them, we cannot stop the All-Star Zombies from mauling down everything. All the prep we do beforehand to set ourselves up for a win becomes meaningless. It got so bad that the Bungie Zombies started targeting literal air because we have so few plants that the game just sends Bungie Zombies to random positions instead. That's a pretty good signal that this is pretty much done for. This level was so insane, I had to do a dedicated 4-hour stream to try and beat it. And finally, I will show you how I managed to beat this level, and it is nothing short of brilliance with the precision of play. First and foremost, to counter the flag zombie, I made sure to precisely time my Doom Shroom so that it only hits the flag zombie and other fast zombies. This makes sure that we have maximum time before the next wave spawns and lets our pumpkin recharge more. Then, against ladder zombies, I do this trick where I dig up a plant inside of a laddered pumpkin to remove the ladder the moment it is made, which stops their infiltration. And against enraged ladders, I precisely time my ice shroom to freeze them right next to our gloom shrooms to kill them off instead of letting them climb over everything. Moreover, I now use Gravebuster as a sacrificial plant against all-star zombies. This saves our flower pots for other purposes as previously mentioned. They're the most important plant we need to keep having more of. But all of these are just little tricks that can only do so much. The real difference in this run is placing a Gloom Shroom on the 4th column, diagonal to the previous 2 Gloom Shrooms. This will help add damage to lanes 2 and 4, which will significantly reduce the amount of pumpkins we will need to breed by later on. We'll only need to sacrifice 1 sunflower for this, which makes it worth it to get. On top of that, we still have to be really careful about the Bungie Zombies and replant stolen plants as soon as the Bungie Zombies are gone to avoid having our entire defense fall apart. And of course, with every Gloom Shroom still alive, I opt to plant a 4th Gloom Shroom in the bottom lane to give it a little bit of help too. And after all of that, we caught past all the extremely tough football zombies, the infuriating pogo zombies, and the hyperspeed ladder zombies. Finally, we reached the end of the level, and this required such a high level of precision and luck to beat, it will go down into the history books for one of the most difficult levels in Plants vs Zombies history. And we finally beaten level 5-4. All of that to unlock the Zen Garden. Now, nobody wants to see the Zen Garden, so let's jump right into level 5-5. In case you forgot, it's that level with the Bungie Zombies dropping zombies from the sky with the chompers. But obviously, there's a water lane now, and it's also nighttime. So we now conveniently get Doom Shroom as one of the plants from the conveyor belt. And as you may expect, Doom Shroom makes the level pretty trivial because it kills the entire wave instantly. Doesn't matter what the game spawns, we can just one-shot it. So you may be curious, how will this level even be mildly challenging if you can just get infinite Doom Shrooms from the conveyor belt to kill everything? Well, actually, we still have to react to the enraged ladder zombies quick enough to not lose the game. It's pretty much the only way we can lose because I can't imagine losing to any of the brown coat zombies when they're getting completely shredded. And well, let's see if I was right about it being the only way we can lose this level. That right there is what is known as skill issue. Simply an issue of us not timing the Doom Shroom correctly. But oh boy.
Bye, have a great time.
Yup, it happened twice. I don't even know how, but it did. All I can say is I did manage to beat the level on my 3rd try though, without any skill issues this time. Time for level 5-6, which is a collection of water lane threats and catapult zombie. Remember, we unlock Umbrella Leaf after beating this level. We're close to escaping hell. Before we can use Umbrella Leaf, we have to suffer for just one more level against Bungie ambushes and this time, also catapult zombies. Thankfully, they don't have some insane stat buff and they just shoot 2 basketballs now, one to the back and one to the front. Though they have no stat buffs, catapult zombies have a small chance to lob their basketballs to a random plant in this lane instead. They also start attacking faster over time to punish us for leaving it alone in the back. But now, I suppose, it's a good time to talk about the giant walnut, which is almost identical to the tall nut from the original game, as this is a plant that blocks dolphin riders. However, when I say catapult zombies didn't receive a stat buff, I didn't tell you about their other special ability in this mod. Basketballs are now strong against flower pots only, one-shotting them and also spawning a conehead zombie instantly. This can snowball out of hand extremely quickly, as you can see here, and this is what makes catapult zombies deadly. This is especially bad because catapult zombies target the backmost plant. If they kill the backmost plant, the next shot will hit a flower pot and spawn a conehead on the first column, which is an essential instant game over. And yeah, don't even think about stopping the catapult zombies once your offensive plants fall apart, because they will one-shot your flower pot before you can plant a new plant to stop them. This prompted me to try using starfruit instead of chompers, as they are known to do very well against zombies that spawn in the middle of the lawn thanks to their stars that fire up and down. Unfortunately, I forgot that starfruits were straight attackers, so the stars hit the brown coat zombies first, which gave the catapult zombies in the back the pass to completely maul our back column of plants. And I think the events that followed are pretty self-explanatory, because we didn't pick any defensive plants to stop catapults from killing our entire backline. Seeing from my lack of defensive plants last run, I decided to bring in walnuts to tank for catapult zombies basketballs. Only one slight problem is the next special ability of the catapult zombie. It also spawns conehead zombies if its basketball damages the plant with the highest amount of health in that lane. Safe to say that this defense also got completely decimated by the catapult zombies. This is not to mention that we also haven't been able to fend off the water lane thanks to the dolphin riders, which are almost as threatening as the catapult zombies in this level. It wasn't a pretty sight at the end of the level when our defense got completely overwhelmed in quite literally every single lane. The obvious solution to this problem is to bring back the gloom shrooms and place them in the front. They do very high group damage and will kill catapult zombies before they even have a chance of lobbing any basketballs. We breezed past all the catapult zombies as they all literally died without even lobbing a basketball, so I couldn't care less they would spawn coneheads because they don't even shoot once before dying. And for the water lane, just fume shrooms and lily pads are sufficient to deal with dolphin riders, as they are essentially just the same zombie from vanilla after using their dolphin, and they don't have much health. We basically speedran the level by putting gloom shrooms in the front, since they kill zombies as soon as they walk onto the field. One last doom shroom, and we're finally out of hell as we unlock the umbrella leaf, which thankfully didn't get nerfed like the spikeweed did. But that's it for this episode of Total Death Edition. World 5 has posed some serious problems so far, but next time, you'll see how things can turn for the worse than they already are. I'll be live streaming on YouTube in 12 hours time after this video is uploaded, so make sure you catch my stream then on the live tab. Thank you to channel members for your constant support, and I will see you soon.